The word Australia conjures up images of Crocodile Dundee, kangaroos, and phrases like, throw another shrimp on the Barbie. But beyond that is a place that many bow hunters call home. A place where wild deer and pigs have spread across the landscape, offering phenomenal hunting and some outstanding meat for those keen enough to pick up a bow and head after it.
Just spotted a good buck. I got my pack loaded down. I'm gonna have to make a couple trips. I'm back. Up here, boy. Welcome to Morador. I bet you want to see him, don't you? Boom. Look at that guy.
I'll tell you this right now. If I lose another big buck like that to these damn cameras, patience is definitely a virtue that I have. Or laziness. This thing's a tank. It's a bad day right there.
Fallow are one of my favorite deer to chase in the South Pacific. After hunting in New Zealand, I decided to fly to Australia for a change of scenery. It just so happens that some friends of mine are hunting here at the same time. I sort of crashed their hunt party for a few days, but in true solo hunter fashion, I plan to slip away and hunt alone, joining them back at camp in the evenings. Although a quick and relatively unplanned trip, I want to make the most of my days here and quickly get to work in search of some camp meat. The quarry may be familiar, but the location and terrain are completely new.
Well, whenever I show up in camp, first thing I like to do, find a youngster, either head shoot it or neck shoot it, and pack it back home to camp. Camp meat, that's what it's all about. Yeah, this might be an opening scene and I already have blood on my shoulders because as soon as I showed up, I shot a little one for meat and then carried it out. That was off film because I wanted to get something to eat in camp. I'm actually camping with some other dudes. And then just heading out on my own from there. So now you're informed. That's what's going on. The terrain here is a lot of eucalyptus and gum trees. Creek beds and thickets, and then followed by big grass openings. Not a lot of feed in the thick stuff. They'll stay in there for most of the day and then work their way to the grass. Just like the deer back at home. I'm gonna work my way up this creek bed and hopefully find a good buck. It's evening time and I just spotted a good buck. Bedded up off this creek bed. I'm just gonna follow this creek up and try to hustle before he leaves his good position. Damn it. Makes everything look a lot darker than it is. But it's just gonna be what it is. That's why I had to stop using it earlier.
Being the hunter is one thing, the cameraman another. Now throw in a few technical difficulties and everything is thrown for a loop. With so much to contend with, I continue to stalk. As long as it can still record, I keep it rolling. Nothing worse than interrupting a stalk to fix equipment. With bow hunting, timing is everything.
That actually worked out pretty good. He snuck in. He walked up on the hill and stopped. I was just down in this creek bottom here. Made a good shot. Awesome. I think I might have fixed the camera for now. It's gonna be manually. I'm gonna have to manually adjust the brightness. If you're watching this show and it's like dark and light and dark and light, it's because the camera's messed up. Oh wow, that's a good buck. Great looking buck. Sweet. I'm gonna set up. I got my pack loaded down. I've got pork and deer. I'm gonna have to make a couple trips because it's just too much. So, trip one, bringing back some pork, some deer, and then I got everything else hanging, and I'll come get it tomorrow. So I came to this water area to see if I could spot anything as it's heating up, and sure enough, there's a pig and a couple deer, and it looks like a buck. I'm gonna try to sneak in there. If the buck's not big, I'm gonna go for the pig. If the buck's big, then I'll pass the pig up. I don't even know if they'll still be there by the time I get there. But worth a try, middle of the day.
I will rarely turn down an opportunity at wild pork. Even though there are deer in the area, I'm solely focused on stalking the pig. With pigs, the key is to get the wind right. You can trick their eyes, you can trick their ears, but you will never fool their nose. So I make a long stalk through the wet marsh to get the wind right before the approach.
Unfortunately, it looks like everything's kind of together, so it's one or the other sort of deal. The buck's not too big, so I think I'm gonna go for the old pig. I had to spook off the deer in order to get the pig by himself. He's just feeding right now, so I should be able to slip in. This grass is tall enough. I can just work my way. But probably 120 yards right now, 150. Cool. About 100 more yards to go. Let's see if I can sneak in. It's not a giant pig, but it'll be a good eater. It's pretty swampy in here. Looks like I'm just gonna have to get kind of wet. 65 right now. I'm gonna try to get within 30 or less. brush there. Pig's down. I had to go in there without my camera because it's just so thick. I was literally crawling on my hands and knees. Half of it's water, just wading around. But I found the pig. I'm gonna try to drag it out, get some video and some photos, and then cut it up and pack it back to camp. Pork's for dinner, man. That's what I'm talking about. There's a lot of different ways to field butcher. What I like to do with pigs is leave the whole half intact. So essentially this is how a butcher would slice it, but I did this all with just my pocket knife. And then in order to keep it clean till I get back to my pack, I'm just gonna leave the skin on, throw it over the grate, over the fire. Should be awesome. I've got half a hog right here, ready to be packed up. Just fold it over, and then I can just carry it out like that. Just something to think about if you're out there and you get a pig or something. You can try butchering it this way. That's gonna be camp meal that I am looking forward to. All right, it's the second day. Regrouped back at camp, cleaned up a little bit, and I'm just gonna work over this ridge here, glass down in the bottom, hopefully spot some deer to go after. Where are the freaking bucks, man? There's plenty of does around. Where are the bucks?
I see plenty of deer sign here among the eucalyptus, but once they get into the cover, their numbers make it hard to get close to bucks. After finding some good sign and travel routes, I decide to follow them to the cleared grassy openings where I'm expecting the deer to be out feeding.
I'm just gonna work my way to this bush edge and then peek out. There's a little bit of fog. See if there's any deer in the big green meadows that run up these valleys. I just looked over and a giant herd of deer came out. There's a couple bucks in there. I'm gonna move up along the edge here. They're just behind their eyes. I'm just gonna drop my stuff and get set up.
I get set up in anticipation for an ambush, sitting where the deer should go back into the thick cover for the day. I'm expecting them to take the route where I located the heavy sign and bedding areas earlier this morning. To my surprise, the meadow is loaded with does. But with no croaking or bucks in sight, it's a sure sign that the rut is over.
There's a lot of deer, but I haven't seen any bucks. Well, I've seen some bucks on the other side, so we're just gonna circle around, try to get a better vantage, maybe get into a spot where they're crossing. It's just too many eyes. Probably the last footage you saw was me walking after a big buck. The reason that's the last footage you saw is because I stopped filming. I had some technical difficulties with the camera. I was within 40 yards, and then the buck just started moving, pushing some does, and then he saw some other does and took off. But I was right on his tail, and then I had some problems with my camera, and my backup camera is in my pack way back here, and I just said forget it. I intentionally left the camera and said, let's see if I can get this buck. It's a good deer. A wild free ranger. So that's what happened. Give you a little play-by-play, even though I didn't have the camera. It's alright. No sweat off my brow, okay? They were out in that field, that big meadow behind me, feeding. He's actually tucked in right here, and right out in front of me is where they walked, and I marked exactly where he was against that other tree so I can find my arrow. It's been long enough, so what I'll do is I'll walk over there and I'll look for that arrow. Hopefully it's got a good blood trail right by it. There's some kind of bird that's not happy. He was standing somewhere right in here, and I've got blood going through here. It actually is really good looking blood, so I'm pretty confident he's gonna be down right.
Even with a perfect shot, the key to finding anything in heavy cover is to stick to the blood trail. With numerous places to fall, it's important to follow the trail that'll lead to the deer.
Based on the way that the blood is, it looks like a hard shot to me, so normally they run really hard. It's just hard to find a blood trail on some of this. This stuff is really thick here. Ran from the tree over here about 60 yards away and then started coming up this hill. So a lot of times when they're hard shot, they just run full out. And I've got one speck of blood here, and that's about it, so I'm just going to keep looking. I mean, he could be 5 feet left or right off this trail. Oh, there he is. Sweet. That'd be awesome, man. I'm pretty pumped. That's a great looking buck. Yeah, he's cool. He's really tall. He's just got a lot of character. It's not real big palms or anything, but just neat looking buck for sure. Really good shot. Just exactly where you want it, right in the shoulder. You don't go far. That's pretty cool. Really thankful for this experience. I'm pumped. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the camera to work, but I ended up getting him, blood trailed him, saw a couple wombats on the way in. I'm gonna get the meat taken care of, probably hang it in one of these trees in the shade here. And what I should do is just cook up some backstrap or heart right now. Since I didn't have any rope, I took some strips of bark, just pulled it down and then started braiding them. And then I'll just hang the meat in the tree behind me. Should stay shaded for a while.
Hunting is about an entire experience. It's a way of getting food that has a backstory, with a unique place and a specific adventure. New places add to this experience. To chase fallow while having the opportunity to see so many unique indigenous animals only found in Australia adds to the allure of this destination. Showing up and being able to provide a camp meal without having to stop off at the store between the airport and my destination brings the travel and pursuit into focus. So in that regard, throw some more venison on the Barbie. Cool. So got pretty good little rope there. Sweet.